Hello everybody, it's Andrew Hutchings here, still not a licensed physician, still never giving medical advice, it's purely medical information and for entertainment. And on my computer over there I have a video by chiropractic Dr. Berg, and I would not normally emphasize the chiropractic part. To be honest, most people with a medical doctorate degree are 1,000 times worse than him. And for the most part, I like his stuff. I don't know him personally, so I'm not gonna say I like him, but I like his content, and it's mostly good. However, YouTube recommended me this video, and it's 7 things that will destroy your liver. And I saw what looked like a scoop of protein powder, and I was like, what the? I've gotta, if that's protein powder, something's happened with this guy and he's no longer producing good videos. And that's a real problem, because if you have somebody who's produced a lot of good content that is actually true, and then they produce a video that is not true, people are going to believe it generally, and people get very emotionally attached to their YouTube idols. So if you go, that's BS, you just don't like Mr. Berg, he's the greatest, everything he says is true, blah, 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 blah. No. So let's play the video and see what he has to say. I've got some salmon in the oven. I wonder if he says that will ruin my liver. So at some point I will cut this and start again later. Let me check on my salmon. Almost done, but let's see what number 1 is. I'm going to turn up the volume for you.
Ruin your liver. And I wanted to increase your awareness on this because a lot of people are being exposed to these things on a regular basis and they don't know it. And as far as your liver goes, you're about as healthy as your liver. Your skin is a reflection of the liver. If your liver is bad, your skin's not going to look too good. The liver is a huge organ. It's like 3 pounds. It helps you with digestion. It helps your blood clot. Mainly, it helps you detoxify poisons. It turns
true. It does help you detoxify things.
Harmless things. Okay. And so let's dive right in and go through the list. Number 1, you want to avoid soy protein isolates. Here's a big question about soy protein isolates. What do you think they do to isolate this protein from soy? Well, they use chemicals. It's highly processed. They have to go through a whole series of things to extract this concentrated protein. And to do that, they have to use something called hexane. That's a petroleum byproduct. It's a solvent. It's not good for the liver. It's actually a neurotoxin. And so when you look at diet shakes or diet powders...
Scary stuff. Did you know that to isolate protein powder from soy, probably to do the same thing from other things, different extractions from different things, but did you know to isolate protein powder from soy that they use hexane, a petroleum product, which is toxic to the human body, neurotoxic as well. I've known this for 10 years. I use heptane instead when doing chemical extractions. Far more expensive, but not neurotoxic. So let's break that down. First of all, check out one of my old videos that's titled something like "We Live in an Oil World," so you can get a greater understanding of this. But unless you go in the middle of the forest, or in the middle of if it's a clean part of the ocean, the middle of the ocean, or the middle of the desert, you are going to be surrounded by things that are made from petroleum. Unless you purposely pick pure cotton, pure aluminum, pure gold, you probably have petroleum products on you and near you. Like my camera stand, this tripod I bought, originally from Petroleum. Petroleum supplies us with the chemical building blocks that we make pretty much everything from. So the fact that it is from petroleum means nothing. It's like saying it's from atoms. Oh, dangerous atoms. Atoms are atoms. It just so happens that petroleum has a lot of different chemical, I'm forgetting the perfect word for it, but pre-made arrangements of atoms that are convenient for us to build off versus making things from scratch. Humans are not good at making things from scratch. We are good at modifying things that already exist. And petroleum allows us to do that. Petroleum is rich in things like hexane, heptane, benzene, what's it not rich in? Well, it's not rich in phenylalanine, an amino acid. I'm not 100% sure it might. Petroleum's got like everything in it now. It doesn't have, it may have some unbroken down complex plant molecules. But yeah, petroleum has got a lot of stuff in there. A lot of hydrocarbons, a lot of cyclic hydrocarbons. It's what we make everything from. Now let me take my salmon out of the oven. I'll show you. Now my salmon is not made from petroleum, just so you know. Now this towel, I don't know, let's see if there's a label on it. Let's see if the label is readable for me. 100% cotton, so it's not made of petroleum. But you know what is probably partially made of petroleum is this label, because it doesn't feel like pure cotton. Anything that's plastic or plastic-like comes from petroleum. Gotta let that cool down a little bit, so I'll bring you some more. So what else? Hexane. Now, we already know that just because it's from petroleum doesn't make it bad. Now what about hexane? Are you eating hexane in your soy protein isolate? Well, first of all, they remove the hexane before they put that soy protein isolate in a container and sell it to you and you consume it. And do you know what would happen if they didn't remove the hexane? Well, you would open the package and the hexane would evaporate. A little bit would stick around, but for the most part it would evaporate. But lucky for you, the big companies that have chemical plants that produce this stuff don't just let it sit out in the air and evaporate. They actually put it under a vacuum, perhaps with increased temperature, to get all of it out. So no, you're not consuming hexane. So it doesn't even matter that it's a petroleum product. It doesn't matter that petroleum products are not inherently bad. It doesn't matter that hexane is a neurotoxin because you're not ingesting hexane. So that is ridiculous. And that's the kind of common thing that's on YouTube. It's actually the kind of stuff they taught in like 5th grade when they tell you why drugs are bad. Oh, drugs are bad because they are a mixture of like toilet cleaner and drain unclogger and this and that. So, no, they're not. You think people would be doing you think people are going to be addicted to drinking drain opener? No. You use chemicals that are also found in those things to do the chemical synthesis to produce the drugs. Those chemicals should not be in the final product. Now, if you buy the drugs from Joe Schmo down the street who found some crackhead that found some recipe online and mixes some stuff together and doesn't know chemistry, you're probably ingesting some unreacted chemicals that are left over. Not good. That's why you buy things from stores, which hopefully have products from like good high quality manufacturers that use professional laboratories or for professional big plants. But yeah, it doesn't matter if you make something from a toxic chemical if you get rid of all of that toxic chemical before you ingest it. I'm gonna eat my salmon, and then it's on to the next part of this video. What do we have waiting for us? I'm as excited as you are. Insanity. Everything in life has some risks. Should you destroy all of your food by burning it to a crisp to avoid the possibility of bacteria? No. Get meat that is somewhat fresh, that doesn't have much bacteria to begin with. Now, of course, when things are on a massive scale and corporations want the most money possible, they're just going to toss everything in the mix. And yeah, so it's perhaps a good thing that on the massive scale it's done, but ideally you just don't have the bad meat to begin with. MSG.
MSG, monosodium glutamate. It's in a lot of different forms, including modified food starch, but you really want to start reading the ingredients because they put this in pork rinds. It's in so many foods as a flavor enhancer. They use it in all the fast food restaurants to enhance the flavor because if it wasn't in there, you wouldn't eat as much. But MSG causes you to eat more of it. It's definitely in Chinese food. And so it's a lot of sodium that's hidden. It's not really salty, but you're going to get fluid retention as well after you consume it. But that's not the big problem. The big problem is toxic to your liver. And it's even in like things like cottage cheese, if you're getting like commercial cottage cheese. But I would just recommend just start reading the ingredients. So many of my patients, when I was in practice, after they complained being sick, I just asked them, when did you start being sick? And what did you eat just before that? And there was usually some ingredient on this list that they...
MSG. Spooky MSG. Evil MSG. It's sad because he's not the only person who thinks MSG is horrible for you, and whether or not he actually believes that, I don't know. He said the name of it, monosodium glutamate. Does that sound familiar at all to you? You know, like glutamate, glutamine. Does that ring any bells? Like, people buy glutamine supplements for fitness? I wonder if there's any relation to glutamate. Glutamine, glutamate, they sound pretty similar. Well, in fact, there is. Glutamine is the aminated form of glutamate. Glutamate already has an amine in it, but glutamine has another amine. Glutamate is an amino acid. Monosodium glutamate is literally just an amino acid, and amino acid, they're bound to ions. Amino acids are charged, so they bind to ions. This one happens to be bound to sodium. So you don't even really need to say the sodium part. You're literally just consuming glutamate. Yeah, there is sodium, but you're consuming an amino acid with sodium. Is it toxic? Is it gonna make you gain weight? Is like what is it that it supposedly does? Like people say, it makes you eat more. Okay, if it makes you eat more, yeah, perhaps that's bad because there's a big obesity problem in the civilized world. But is it uniquely bad for being monosodium glutamate? No. Is sodium bad for you? No. It's actually necessary for the human body. So if you try to cut out all of your sodium, you will have poor health. If you could get rid of all the sodium from your body, you would die. Now, if you have too much sodium, you can have high blood pressure, which can lead to heart disease and kidney disease. Are you going to get too much sodium from monosodium glutamate? Maybe. I mean, you could also just pour a whole thing of salt on your food and you can get too much sodium, but it's I mean, who knows? Maybe some Chinese restaurants put like a whole bottle worth of salt equivalent in their food. I don't know. But if you have a little bit of MSG in something, just be like, oh, cool, some extra amino acids. Like, yeah, there's sodium in like everything. I mean, not everything, but you need sodium. Forget about the sodium. The glutamate, I think he said it's bad for your liver. Actually, it's used to help get ammonia out of your body. So if you are deficient in glutamate or glutamine, you're probably going to have more liver damage. So that monosodium glutamate may actually help your liver. Yeah, you need glutamate to detox your body. It's really sad how someone who put out a lot of good stuff, it seems like he was trying to help people get healthy, cut out sugar from their diet, eat healthier foods, now it does more spews for more views. It's just sad. Like the protein part, it's good for you. The monosodium glutamate part, let's just say it's neutral for you. Perhaps even good for you. Everything it said in this video is just complete garbage. You don't have to worry about hexane in your soy protein powder. What was the next one? Fructose. Yeah, fructose is bad for you. Doesn't mean you should cut out fruit. You're probably, of course, you don't want to be drinking high fructose corn syrup. Duh. But is fructose like evil? No. What was the next one? Vegetable fats. Yes, they are bad. That part he was right about, but I don't remember if he said something that I said was BS, but pretty much everything he said about that is actually true. Whey protein powder, that was horrible BS. Maltodextrin, that's pretty much all BS. Aflatoxins, scare tactics. So the only thing he's got going for him is that vegetable fats are in fact bad for you. Everything else is literally the opposite of the truth or completely twisted BS. Whey protein, amazing for your liver health. Soy protein, you're not risking getting hexane and brain damage. Vegetable fats, bad for you. Humans did not evolve to have them. Aflatoxins, you do not need to stop eating peanuts to avoid them. Just don't eat peanuts that have gone bad. As if you were gonna, like, that's your greatest hobby. You like collecting bad peanuts and eating them, and like you love the bad taste and you just can't get enough of them. No one likes buying good peanuts. MSG, not bad for you. Glutamate is essential for the human body. Maltodextrin, yeah, it's not exceptionally bad for you. Very sad. Please like and subscribe. Check out my website, andrewhutchings.org, where you can hire me for medical information, like real medical information that's based on reality, not whatever this is. No medical advice because I'm not a licensed physician, just medical information. And you can hire me for training, plans, consultations, whatever. I have a book on tendinitis. I recommend buying it as soon as you can on Amazon. Type in A Systematic Guide to Defeating Tendinitis. And if it doesn't come up, type in A Systematic Guide to Defeating Tendinitis, Andrew Hutchings. And my website is andrewhutchings.org, remember that. And my Instagram is natural_true_fitness. Part 2, fructose.
You have something called agave nectar as a sweetener. It's like 70% fructose, and even table sugar is half fructose and half glucose. Now, fructose is a very interesting sugar because It's not metabolized by all of your cells. It's only metabolized by your liver. So anytime you consume fructose, your liver has to deal with this sugar.
So he says fructose is an interesting sugar because it's not metabolized by all of your cells. It is only metabolized by your liver. I want to see if he says something else after this.
It is stuck to deal with breaking it down and metabolizing it. And this is why people that consume a lot of high fructose corn syrup, boy, they just develop a fatty liver. Way more than if they were going to be consuming just glucose itself. And even people think that agave nectar is so healthy, but it's not, because it contains fructose. But here's the confusing thing. Fructose on the glycemic index is pretty low. It's like 19. Glucose.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Fructose and the liver. Yes, it does in fact contribute to a fatty liver. It is primarily stored in the liver. Now, he didn't directly say this in this video because he didn't go into depth very much, but people typically say that fructose is only used to store energy in the liver. And that is not true. Fructose can be used to form glycogen in the muscles. And you'll be like, oh, but it's only glucose that goes to glycogen in the muscles. Fructose can be changed into glucose in your body. So it may not go into being muscle glycogen as efficiently as glucose goes into being muscle glycogen, but it does in fact refill your muscle glycogen. Your body can use fructose for other things besides just storing fat in your liver. That would be pretty strange, wouldn't it be, if this sugar that humans have evolved alongside of for a very long time literally had no role, like, in helping us? Like, we didn't develop any, like, people who had some way of utilizing it didn't go on to survive better, and then, like, which would lead to modern day humans being able to use it. But it turns out we can use fructose for energy. Makes sense, doesn't it? The last time you ate some fruit, you didn't feel like, if you eat enough fruit, you will actually feel satisfied. It actually can give you some energy. That's because it can be converted to glucose. I'm gonna skip the rest of this fructose stuff, because I think that's enough said. He's gonna say glucose is low in glycemic index because it doesn't spike insulin. Vegetable fats.
3 vegetable fats. Now, vegetable fats sound so healthy, don't they? I mean, they're just the fat of vegetables. Well, there's actually not much fat in vegetables, okay? If you look at salad, leafy greens, just look at the nutritional profile and you'll see that there's not much oil or fat.
True, there's not much oil or fat in vegetables.
Despite being called vegetable oils, it's really grain oils, and it's like bean oils, as in soybean oil. And I'm talking about the corn oil, the soy oil, canola, cottonseed oil. These oils are very processed. They're very oxidating to your tissues, which means they create a lot of inflammation, They're a very fragile oil that's omega-6. An average person in the US consumes about 70 pounds of this vegetable oil. We've kind of done a little switch on these oils about, I don't know.
They really are in everything, and they are not healthy. I remember when I started paying attention to them, like, I always bought these frozen burritos. They're pretty good from Trader Joe's. But I looked at the labels, like, soybean oil? Like, it didn't occur to me, but yeah, they add oils to, like, make the texture better, just to give it some flavor. I don't know exactly their reasons, but, you know, cooking with oils is generally beneficial, like, to the overall palatability of the food. But they use soybean oil. Then I looked at some yogurt I bought, soybean oil. I looked at some other stuff I bought, soybean oil. There's soybean oil in a ton of stuff in the United States. Not good. We don't naturally. So it's very simple. Humans did not evolve consuming vegetable oils. Even if humans ate vegetables, which they did not always do, the amount of oils that they got from eating vegetables was insignificant. Modern processed food has a massive amount of these things that the human body has not evolved to work with. When you put something in the human body that has not evolved to work with, it brings down your health. The human body works best with what it evolved to work best with. What a shocker that is. I'm going to skip through the rest of this because it's a very long segment on whey protein.
4. Whey protein powder. Now think about what whey protein powder is. It's a protein in milk, dairy, and it's highly concentrated to be extremely low fat, if not zero fat. Okay. And anytime you consume something that's refined out of the normal complex that nature has designed, it comes with a package. And so whey protein is inflammatory. It's a bit toxic to the liver.
Anytime you take something out of what is in nature, it becomes, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he's implying that you can only eat things in their natural state for them to be healthy. Is that true? No! Like, how stupid do you have to be to actually believe that? Like, of course, there are some associated truths with that. That isolating sugar from foods, which will allow you to consume much more sugar that has an ability to get into your bloodstream much faster in much greater amounts, is bad for you. Is ingesting pure protein bad for you? Is it inflammatory? Bad for your liver? Whoa, I guess you have to have the protein inside of something for it to not be inflammatory. How does that work? Because the protein is surrounded by fats or carbohydrates, it has different properties? Well, sort of in a way, yes. It slows down the absorption of it. So is it that fast absorption of amino acids is toxic and inflammatory to the human body? No. What could it be? Well, first of all, proteins in foods are not pre-digested amino acids, so even if they are extracted from the foods, they still have to be broken down and slowly released into your system. Now, whey protein in particular is very rapidly absorbed, and most whey protein nowadays is pre-digested. So it's actually individual amino acids, instantly absorbed. Now, does rapid absorption of amino acids have health consequences? No. Is it bad for your liver? No. Is it good for your liver? Yes. Like I said at the beginning, this is what made me realize that he has lost it. Amino acids, many of them, are the foundation of the antioxidant systems of the body, including the liver. Consuming whey protein powder is like an elixir for your liver. In fact, it's been shown to improve liver health. So what he just said has literally been shown to be the opposite of truth. There are numerous medical studies which show that consumption of whey protein powder improves liver health and can actually negate a lot of liver damage from other drugs. So definitely do not avoid whey protein powder. In fact, if you are an alcoholic or using anabolic steroids, it's a good idea to consume protein powder because it will protect your liver. It's like saying don't take vitamins because they're not in the food, and when they're absorbed too quickly, they don't work, and in fact, they're bad for you. Now, taking vitamins that are not in food may be destroyed by stomach acids, but if they are absorbed, and they are the same ones that were originally in food, they will work just the same as the ones that were originally in the food, unless you don't have certain other molecules that you need to work with them. But it does not make the vitamins toxic because they are not encapsulated by food, and instead they're encapsulated by gelatin. The vitamins are the vitamins, the amino acids are the amino acids. It doesn't make them toxic and inflammatory that you consume them in their pure form. It does change some things, but it does not make them toxic and inflammatory, and in fact, innumerable medical studies show that to be complete BS. It's very sad because I like a lot of his stuff, but I did note, because I think I subscribed to him. No, I'm not subscribed to him. But YouTube shows me his content, and recently I noticed that he was putting out a lot of videos, and just something seemed like it changed. And clearly something did change, because this is garbage, sadly. And a lot of people are going to believe it because he's got 7 million subscribers. That's really crazy and sad, because this is horrible advice. It's probably not going to harm many people to cut out protein powders or soy protein. Actually, it could harm vegans, I guess, or vegetarians, because they don't consume enough protein normally. So if you get them to not consume protein powders, well, their health is going to go down. But normal people can do without protein powders, but you'll be missing the health benefits of consuming them, which is improved liver health. Exactly contrary to what he's saying, that it's going to damage your liver. So sad. Let's go on to the next part. Maltodextrin.
It's crazy. It's in all the protein powders as the first ingredient sometimes. Here's the problem with maltodextrin. It's a synthesized or synthetic sugar, and it is higher than glucose on the glycemic index. Okay, it ranges between.
Okay, does being synthetic make it bad? No. Does being higher on the glycemic index than glucose make it bad? No. Now, that does mean that it's going to spike your insulin levels more, which is not good. But if you were to consume your maltodextrin mixed with some food, well, it's going to negate the higher glycemic index rating. So what he just said has zero importance. A little tiny bit of importance, but not much. Now, ideally you do pick protein powders and stuff that does not have maltodextrin, but is it going to make that much of a difference if it has maltodextrin or glucose? Not really. Although I prefer to not even consume artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners or stevia are the best options if you're looking for a healthy sugar alternative, because, well, there's no evidence that they cause cancer. They do not spike your insulin, and they do not have calories. The number one cause of death in the civilized world is obesity, so cutting out the calories pretty much automatically makes them insanely good for you. And you eat them, they go out of you. They're not perfect, they do have minor consequences, altering your intestinal microbiome. Compared to all the benefits they have of not having calories, not spiking your insulin, they are a heaven sent. We are super lucky that we have them. Aflatoxins.
6. Aflatoxins. So you want to stop consuming aflatoxins. Now, what is an aflatoxin? Well, it's a toxin from a certain fungus which is carcinogenic to your liver. So your liver does not like this, and you're primarily going to find it in peanuts and corn, okay? And especially
breast.
if it's in a moist human environment. Now, if you consume peanuts or peanut butter, the best way to make sure you don't get the aflatoxin is by consuming Valencian peanuts. Valencian peanuts are a lot drier, and they're usually not going to have aflatoxin.
Okay, so I have to admit, I don't know what aflatoxins are. They have toxin in the name, so there is a high likelihood that they are toxic to the human body. Do you need to cut out peanuts from your diet in order to avoid aflatoxins? Most likely not. Now, if you get some moist, moldy peanuts that don't look right, don't smell right, just like any other food, they can develop harmful things when they're not properly stored. Toss them out. Saying that you're going to get aflatoxins from peanuts is like saying you're going to get salmonella from some food, or you're going to get E. coli from the meat. Yeah, you can, but normal good meat doesn't have that. And if you have meat or something that's looking nasty, or not how it should look, you toss it out. You don't put it in you. You get some peanuts that don't look right, don't smell right, don't taste right, stop eating them, toss them out. This is just some scare. This peanut thing is just to have something unique to say to you. Oh, watch out for the peanuts, that's a really big killer. No, it's not. You don't need to watch out for your peanuts. You don't need to watch out for, stop eating peanut butter. You know how many kids eat you know how many kids eat sugar, so yeah, it's not the best thing to say, but peanut butter is not going to destroy your liver. Peanuts are not going to destroy your liver. Bad peanuts, of course. How often do people get bad peanuts? Not very often. There is a craziness where people are so afraid of food nowadays. I remember reading this book in school that taught us about how dangerous food is, like how people used to get E. coli and salmonella, so now we have to blast the food with gamma rays, and then fast food restaurants have to cook it until it's all black and burnt and stuff so that there can't possibly be bacteria. And